In a shelter full of dogs, most are waiting for a chance at a loving home. But there was one dog, a German Shepherd, known for his aggression. When a paralyzed little girl in a wheelchair visited, no one knew what would happen next. What this dog did shocked everyone. It was a bright, sunny afternoon when little Emily, a 7-year-old girl, and her family walked into the shelter. Emily had been in a wheelchair ever since a terrible accident that left her paralyzed from the waist down. She was excited to visit the shelter, but there was an undeniable tension in the air. They had heard about a German Shepherd that had been living there for months. Known for his aggression, he had scared away potential adopters time and time again. Emily's parents were cautious, especially after hearing that the dog had snapped at visitors. But Emily, with her wide, hopeful eyes, couldn't help but feel a connection to him. She had always dreamed of having a dog, one that would love her no matter what. As the family walked through the rows of cages, Emily's heart skipped a beat when she saw the German Shepherd. His cage was at the far end, and the dog's piercing gaze seemed to watch her with unblinking eyes. The German Shepherd was a dog with a past, one that wasn't easy to forget. His name was Rex, and he had been at the shelter for over a year. When he first arrived, he was a nervous wreck, his ribs showing under his matted fur. It was clear he had been mistreated, perhaps abused, before he found his way to the shelter. He wasn't just frightened, he was angry. Every time someone approached his cage, Rex would growl, his hackles raised, teeth bared in warning. The staff had tried everything: training, socialization, even offering him treats, but nothing worked. Rex didn't trust anyone. His reputation at the shelter was known by everyone. Volunteers would avoid his kennel, and new staff members would learn quickly to steer clear of his cage. But there was something in his eyes, a pain, a fear, that made the shelter workers hesitate to give up on him entirely. They wanted to help, but they also feared the unpredictable nature of his aggression. Rex wasn't just a difficult dog. He was a dog that no one had given the time to truly understand. His growls were a defense mechanism, a way to keep people at a distance. But despite his violent reactions, there was still a flicker of hope. Some believed that, deep down, he was a good dog. He just needed someone to break through the walls he had built around his heart. As Emily and her family approached the rows of kennels, the air was thick with anticipation. Emily's heart raced with excitement, her small hands gripping the wheels of her chair. Today was the day she might finally find a dog to call her own. She had dreamed of this moment for months, imagining the feel of soft fur under her fingertips, the companionship that could ease the loneliness she sometimes felt. Her parents, however, weren't as eager. They shared nervous glances as they wheeled Emily down the aisles of dogs barking excitedly from their cages. Their eyes quickly scanned the animals, trying to find one that might be a safe choice for their daughter. Then, they reached the end of the hallway, and there he was, Rex, the German Shepherd. Emily paused. Despite her parents' apprehension, she felt a strange pull toward him. She could see the tension in his posture, his piercing gaze fixed on her, but something inside her stirred. It was almost as if he understood what she was going through, feeling trapped, misunderstood, yearning for love. Emily smiled gently, her eyes locking with his. For a moment, it felt like time stood still. Could she be the one to reach him? As Emily wheeled herself closer to Rex's cage, the dog's ears perked up. He had been watching her from the moment she entered the shelter, his gaze sharp and unyielding. His body tensed, his growls beginning to rumble deep in his chest. Emily's parents instinctively took a step back, their hands clenched as they exchanged worried looks. But Emily didn't flinch. She didn't pull away. Instead, she slowly raised her hand, offering it out to him, her fingers trembling slightly. Rex's growl deepened, and the air around them grew heavy. The shelter staff looked on nervously, ready to intervene if necessary. Emily's parents exchanged another glance, their concern growing. "Emily, maybe we should," her father started, but Emily silenced him with a gentle shake of her head. She wasn't afraid. There was something in her heart telling her to trust this dog, despite the aggression he showed. Slowly, she whispered to him, her voice soft and kind. "It's okay, boy. I won't hurt you. I just want to be your friend." For a moment, nothing happened. Rex stood rigid, his eyes locked onto hers, still unsure. Then, as if weighing her words, the growling stopped. His body relaxed ever so slightly, and he took a tentative step forward. Emily held her breath, her heart pounding in her chest. She didn't know what to expect, but she felt something, a spark of hope, an invisible connection forming between them. And then, it happened. Rex slowly stretched out his snout and sniffed the air. The moment his nose brushed against Emily's hand, something miraculous happened. The harshness in his eyes softened, and instead of a growl, he let out a low, curious whimper. Emily's heart raced as Rex leaned in closer, his large, wet nose gently brushing her hand. For a brief moment, it seemed as if time had stopped. The shelter staff stood frozen, unsure of what was happening. Was this the same dog that had snarled at every visitor? The dog whose aggressive reputation kept him locked away in the corner of the shelter? Yet, here he was, softly sniffing the little girl's hand, his once tense body now relaxed. Emily smiled, her face lighting up with warmth. She didn't speak, but her presence seemed to calm Rex in a way no one expected. Her gentle touch, the sincerity in her eyes. It was as if she had broken through the walls that Rex had built around himself for so long. The growls had stopped, and now all that was left was a quiet, almost inquisitive silence. Rex took another slow step forward, his ears no longer pinned back. Emily's hand remained steady, inviting, as she let him explore her, cautiously but curiously. Then, in an almost surreal moment, Rex lowered his head, nudging her hand gently, as though asking for permission. It was a subtle, soft gesture, but it spoke volumes. The staff members couldn't believe what they were witnessing. They had never seen Rex act this way, not even once. It was clear that something special was unfolding in front of them. Emily, with her courage and calm, had reached the dog in a way no one else could. As the days went by, Emily and Rex's bond grew stronger. The shelter staff couldn't believe their eyes. The German Shepherd, once so full of aggression, now followed Emily around the kennel, wagging his tail whenever she came near. It was as if he had found his purpose again, to protect and care for this little girl who had shown him nothing but kindness. Emily's family, initially wary, soon saw the change in Rex. They watched in amazement as he patiently sat by Emily's wheelchair, his head resting gently on her lap. It was clear that Emily's presence had healed a part of Rex that no one else had been able to reach. And in return, Rex offered Emily something she had always dreamed of, a friend, a protector, a companion. She laughed as he nuzzled her, his warm body comforting her in ways words never could. For Emily, the pain of being different, of being in a wheelchair, seemed to melt away when Rex was around. She wasn't just a little girl in a wheelchair anymore. She was someone special to him, someone worth loving. The shelter's director watched with tears in her eyes as Emily wheeled herself up to Rex's cage, holding out her hand. "Can we adopt him?" Emily asked, her voice soft but filled with hope. The director smiled, a tear escaping down her cheek. "Of course," she said, knowing that a bond like theirs was a rare gift. As Emily and Rex walked out of the shelter together, it was clear that they had both found something precious: love, trust, and a friendship that would last a lifetime. Their story wasn't just about a little girl and a dog. It was about the power of kindness, second chances, and the bonds that can form when we least expect them. If you believe that animals can sense our emotions and change our lives in ways we can't even imagine, leave a comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories like this one. See you in the next video.